Well, greetings. How are you? I am here to read a book. I love reading books, and this one was chosen by Mrs. Sumners and I believe Mr. Wilmer, and it is called Moose on the Loose. And it's by Kathy Jo Wargin. That's the author. And the illustrator is John Bendel Brunello. So let's enjoy Moose on the Loose together. What would you do with a moose on the loose? Would you chase him, or race him, or stand up to face him? What would you do with a moose on the loose? What would you do with a moose in your yard? Would you ask for a ride, or invite him to slide? What would you do with a moose in your yard? What if that moose came to live in your house? Would you read him a book? Would you teach him to cook? Would you ask him to dance? Would you dress him in pants? What would you do with a moose in your house? Now, what if that moose went upstairs to your room? Would you share all your toys? Would you make lots of noise? Would you play hide and seek? Do you think he would peek? Would you beat him at chess? Would he make a big mess? Would you ask him to sing and then crown him as king? What if that moose started wearing your socks? Would you cry? Would you yell? Would you tell him they smell? Would you give him 2 more and then bid him farewell? And what if that moose took a bath in your tub? Would you give him 2 boats? Would you see if he floats? Would you towel him dry? Would you tell him, don't cry? Would you find him pajamas and then feed him pie? What if that moose went to sleep in your bed? Would you tuck him in tight? Would you kiss him good night? Would you plump up his pillow and turn out the light? Would you tickle his toes? Would you pinch his nose? Would you shout, "This is it! You are too big to fit"? And what if that moose says to you the next day, "I think I will stay"? Would you chase him away? Would you say, "It's okay"? Then go ask your mother. She has the last say. So what'd you think? Would you want a moose on the loose in your house? I know how big my house is, and I don't think a moose on the loose would fit very well. If you enjoyed that book, it is in our library. There's a library label on it right there. And there's a cool sticker. I want to show that to you up close. That says Michigan Reads to Children. One state, one book. Did you know every year that our Michigan State Library, there's a library for the whole state, they send a book to every school library in the state. And they say that's a good book to share with your school. Well, in 2012, so yeah, none of the students were here in 2012. I wasn't here yet in 2012. This book was sent to the school, and it's called Moose on the Loose. And that was a Michigan book that they said, this is a good one to share with your entire school. Did it remind you of any other books? When I was reading it, it reminded me a little bit of if you give a pig a pancake, if you give a dog a donut, if you take a mouse to school. It kind of reminded me a little bit of that style of book because it said, would you do this? If he does that, would this happen? Would that happen? So it reminds me of that book. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for sharing a story with me.